Welcome to Parliament TV. I'm Elaine Adonis. This week in Parliament, National Assembly Speaker Ms. Nosiviwe Mapisa Ngakula will lead a multi-party delegation to the 28th Conference of the Parties of the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, COP28, taking place in Dubai, United Arab Emirates from 30 November until 12 December 2023. The UN Climate Change Conference is an annual multilateral decision-making forum that brings together the global community to deliberate on ways to address the climate crisis, meaning limiting global temperature rise to 1.5 degrees Celsius, helping vulnerable communities adapt to the effects of climate change, and achieving net zero emissions by 2050, among others. The parliamentary delegation will form part of the South African national delegation comprising of government departments and civil society. Over 70,000 delegates are expected to attend COP28, including the member states of the UN Framework on Climate Change, UNFCCC, business leaders, young people, climate scientists, indigenous peoples, journalists, and various other experts and stakeholders. Meanwhile, the National Assembly will hold 3 plenary sessions, while the National Council of Provinces will hold 2 plenary sittings this week on Wednesday and Thursday. On Tuesday, the NA sitting will start at 10 a.m. with a debate on the 9th BRICS Parliamentary Forum and consideration of the budget review and recommendations reports of various portfolio committees. Some of the reports that will be considered include those of the PC on water and sanitation, the PC on communications and digital technologies, and the PC on international relations and cooperation. The same sitting will also consider reports of the Joint Committee on Ethics and Members' Interests on a number of items relating to breaches by several members of Parliament. The House will also hold a debate on the 16 days of activism for no violence against women and children, themed the role of men in combating gender-based violence and femicide. On Wednesday at 2 p.m., the National Council of Provinces will consider several bills, including the Division of Revenue Amendment Bill, the National Road Traffic Amendment Bill, the National Land Transport Amendment Bill, the Economic Regulation of Transport Bill, the Correctional Services Amendment Bill, the Judicial Matters Amendment Bill, and the National Health Insurance Bill. Meanwhile, at 3 p.m., the Economic Cluster 4 ministers will appear before the NA for a question and answer session. The cluster includes National Ministers of Finance, Agriculture, Land Reform and Rural Development, Forestry, Fisheries and the Environment, Communications and Digital Technologies, Employment and Labour, Electricity, as well as mineral resources and energy. The House will also resume consideration of BRRR reports of the Standing Committee on Finance and the PC on Trade and Industry and Competition. During its hybrid plenary at 2 p.m. on Thursday, the NA will consider legislation from various committees. The committee reports scheduled for consideration are the reports of the Standing Committee on Finance on Rates and Monetary Amounts and Amendment of Revenue Laws Bill, the Taxation Laws Amendment Bill, and the Tax Administration Laws Amendment Bill. The House will also consider the reports of the Portfolio Committee on Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs on Independent Municipal Demarcation Authority Bill, and the Portfolio Committee on Communications and Digital Technologies on South African Post Office SOC Limited Amendment Bill. The National Council of Provinces at 2 p.m. will consider the Joint Committee on Ethics and Members' Interest reports on the non-disclosures of members' interests for 2022 and contravention of the Code of Ethical Conduct and Disclosure of Members' Interests. Delegates will also have a debate on water quality in South Africa and government's efforts and responsibilities towards clean water and security. Both the NA and the NCOP will convene a virtual joint programming committee meeting aimed at planning the program of Parliament. On Friday at 10 a.m., the National Assembly is scheduled to hold a debate on World AIDS Day on the theme Community Response to Overcome the Spread of HIV and the Impact of AIDS Interventions. As constitutionally mandated, public participation is one of the chief functions of Parliament. Throughout this year, the National Legislature has embarked on nationwide public hearings on various new pieces of legislature and amendment bills. This week, the National Assembly's Portfolio Committee on Mineral Resources and Energy will hold public hearings on the Electricity Regulation Amendment Bill in the Eastern Cape. The committee will be soliciting public inputs on the draft legislation in 4 district municipalities from the 27th to the 29th November. There are 28 committee meetings scheduled for this week. While some of the committees continue with public hearings across the country to solicit input and views from the public on important bills. For the full list of scheduled committee meetings, please visit www.parliament.gov.za/committee-schedules. Thank you for watching Parliament TV. I am Elaine Adonis. Goodbye.